You know that feeling when you walk away from a conversation and something inside you feels off, but you can't quite explain why? Maybe you felt guilty for saying no, even though your boundary was completely reasonable, or you found yourself over-explaining, apologizing, or doubting your own memory of what just happened. That subtle inner confusion is not an accident. It is often the result of psychological manipulation designed to hook your emotions and keep you emotionally dependent on someone else's approval, reactions, or moods. In a world where people can weaponize your empathy, your desire for peace, and your fear of conflict, learning how to emotionally detach is not coldness. It is self-respect in action. The grey rock technique is a powerful way to reclaim that respect. It is the art of becoming emotionally neutral and uninteresting to a manipulator, like a simple grey rock on the ground that nobody stops to pick up. Manipulators thrive on emotional drama, intense reactions, and the sense that they can push your buttons at will. When you stop giving them that fuel, their power over you begins to fade. This method is rooted in basic behavioral psychology. Behavior that is not rewarded eventually weakens, a process known as extinction. When you consistently respond with calm, flat, and minimal reactions, the manipulator's attempts to provoke you no longer pay off, and slowly, they start to lose interest. Imagine a person who used to trigger you with criticism or guilt trips, and instead of defending yourself or pleading to be understood, you respond with short, neutral answers, stable body language, and no visible emotional charge. What happens when their usual tactics stop working? Their control slips. The grey rock technique is not about suppressing your emotions forever or becoming numb. It is about learning when and where to show your emotions, and when holding them back is actually a form of self-protection. Have you ever considered that your silence, your calm, and your lack of reaction might be more powerful than any argument you could make? At first, the idea of becoming emotionally neutral can feel wrong, even a little unnatural, because so many of us were raised to believe that being kind means always being available, always explaining, always trying to fix the other person's mood. Yet think about those moments when you felt like you were performing for someone's approval, constantly editing your words, walking on eggshells to avoid setting them off. Your nervous system already knows what manipulation feels like. The tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts, the way you replay the conversation later, wondering if you were the problem. Now imagine a different scene. You are at work, and a co-worker who loves drama tries to bait you with a passive-aggressive comment in front of others. In the past, you might have rushed to defend yourself, overtalked, or tried to please them, and later felt emotionally drained. This time, you answer with a calm, brief response, without justification, without visible irritation, and then gently redirect your focus back to your task. On the outside, it looks like nothing, but inside, something powerful shifts. You are no longer dancing for their reaction. Or picture a family member who constantly criticizes your choices, pokes at your insecurities, or uses guilt to pull you back into old patterns. Instead of arguing, crying, or proving yourself, you respond with simple, factual answers. No emotional storytelling, no extra details for them to twist. You don't reward the drama with more energy. The tension rises for them precisely because it is no longer rising inside you. They might push harder at first, escalate, or accuse you of being cold, but over time, their attempts feel more like noise than command. In your private inner world, you begin asking different questions. What if I don't have to justify my boundaries? What if I let their words fall flat instead of letting them burrow into my self-esteem? What if my self-worth is no longer tied to whether this person approves of me today? The grey rock technique becomes less about pretending and more about remembering that you're allowed to protect your peace, even if someone else calls it selfish. As you begin to practice this technique, it is important to understand that emotional detachment is not the same as emotional denial. You are not erasing your feelings. You are choosing not to put them on display for someone who has proven they will use them against you. There will be moments when your old patterns try to pull you back, when you feel the urge to over-explain, to defend, to win the argument, or to make the other person finally see your side. And in those moments, your real work is internal. You might feel the familiar surge of anger in your chest, or the sting of unfair accusations. But instead of reacting outwardly, you let those feelings move through you without turning them into a performance. You remind yourself that this person does not need to understand your truth for it to remain true. The grey rock technique becomes a psychological boundary. You allow yourself to be fully human on the inside, while presenting a calm, simple surface on the outside in interactions with manipulative people. Over time, this teaches your nervous system that you are no longer trapped in their emotional roller coaster. You start to notice how many hooks you used to bite, the guilt trips, the silent treatments, the sudden compliments that only appeared when they wanted something. You see the pattern with more clarity, and clarity is a form of freedom. You begin asking yourself empowering questions like, if I stop feeding this dynamic, what else could I make space for in my life? If I no longer chase their approval, whose opinion actually matters? If I'm no longer constantly reacting to them, what kind of person do I want to become? The more you detach your emotional energy from the manipulator, the more that energy returns to you, to your goals, to your healing, to your peace. This is the deeper gift of the grey rock technique. It is not just about making a toxic person lose interest. It is about helping you remember that you're not an object to be controlled, but a conscious human being with the right to choose where your attention goes, where your emotions flow, and who gets access to your vulnerable inner world. If you're benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.